Hi guys, nice to be here. I think I always say this thing that it's the thing of passion for me to know that I wish I always had this opportunity when I was in school, or rather when I was a student, or even my early years in architecture. But I'm happy to give back and then try to see how people can in our profession. I like sales blossom. So amongst different topics that try to talk about in different schools, alma mater, or the universities. For me, the major thing for me is how to see from my experience and ensure that those that are coming behind can see the kind of things that we've done and sort of like use that as a stepping stone to just move forward. So just as a background, yeah, obviously I'm an architect. I studied in the University of Lagos. I actually was a professor's son. So obviously I grew up in that environment and it was a good learning ground for me. But as I knew that I was going to read architecture right from secondary school. I went to King's College. And I knew from then, even my intro tech teacher from like the JSS classes had already said that I should either read engineering or fiction. And then when I came into secondary, senior secondary section, I just realized that that's the only thing that used to keep me up at night. And I'm sure a couple of you will resonate with. For me, growing up in that sort of environment made me understand the kind of things that we needed to. So I could see that from right from secondary school, I had that interest in trying to create something out of nothing. And then I stepped into the university, and it was crazy because you have lecturers that condemn your work. You have the ones that like your work. At some point, you try to ask yourself if you, or you try to understand if you really are supposed to be doing this course called architecture. If you are, I know a lot of times you use to call it architecture. But the point is that you might have had that point where you are probably thinking to yourself, what exactly am I doing this for? Do I really want to do this and all of that? But I think early in university, probably like from year four, I really started asking myself that who is the person that actually had the power to build what it is that you have in your mind? And I realized that it's only those that have control over the money, people that have control over um, owning the project. And I asked myself then, look, you know what? If this is the situation, then how can you own your project? Because I'm sure everybody here sort of like has what they wish for. I'm going to share my screen shortly so that we just have an idea of what and just the presentation can take a toll. But I mean, just to give you the beginning part of this whole presentation and understand where it came from. So for me, it was more of look, if at the end of the day, um, I now started as an architect and I realized that I'm at the beck and call of every client that reaches out to me. And I asked myself that, so who is the guy that is building that is going to pay the bills? And it was from there I knew that even though I was doing my master's in architecture, I knew I was going to do another master's in say like real estate or property development or something like that. But again, I knew I needed to get experience. So I stepped out and I finished school. I already started looking at prospectus and different schools outside the country, the US, the UK, knowing that the UK is a little similar to Nigeria. I'll probably pick the UK, but I felt I couldn't just step out of school without understanding how architecture works here in Nigeria. So I worked with one or two of the top architectural firms in the country, ACCL at the time, Design Union as well. ACCL, I was there for a long time. But, on doing that, I could also realize that their biggest clients were those that were paying the bills. And even if we didn't like their architecture, if the client says this is what I want, there's nothing you can do. So I think that just gave me a heads up to say this man that is telling us that this is what I want. That's the person that owns that's the owner of the project. That's the guy that if I don't do what he wants, he's not going to pay me. So eventually, even though I was doing what the clients wanted, I realized that there's a game we don't know how to play or we are not playing. And it's unfortunate we don't learn things like finance and strategy and management in architecture school. Yes, there's the school. I mean, I was speaking to some of the schools of one of the architectural regulatory bodies. And one of the things they said was, well, do you really want to start learning that from school? Don't you think it's going to contaminate some of the design thinking that some of our young ones are coming up with? But I said, no, you actually need to understand the basics, because if you understand the basics, you're able to even speak to the client in a certain way. So if the client is trying to say that, look, I'm trying to spend XYZ. You can talk with authority, knowing fully well that you understand a little bit of everything. And really and truly, the way we are trained. I mean, let me give you an example. If you're an architect that designs hospitals, you're going to learn how a doctor works and how a doctor functions. And if you're designing a bank, you're going to learn how the bank, you're just that one profession that has to understand what everybody's doing if they're going to be a well-grounded architect. So it's important that if you can do that, then why can't you also be in the picture to discuss with your clients and sort of like make him understand the financial part of things, right? And even better, can't you own the project as an architect? And that's where this whole foray started into property development. So after working for the architectural firm, I said, look, I want to design my own buildings. I want to be able to say I'm doing a sustainable school in Kenya. I want to say, and I can do it the way I want it. I want to do it. Even if I know that I'm not getting returns, I get fulfillment from the fact that I want to do it. So I'll give an example. One of the days I went to speak in one of the schools and I asked that, I'm sure each and every one of you here have a dream for your dream house, whether you read architecture or not, or you have a dream for some properties you want to own. I dare say that there's nobody here that, if there's anybody here that wants to build his own house. In fact, those that want to build their house, I think they should just, you know, signify by waving their hands. I don't think we're going to see anybody here that will say, I don't want to build my own house. And if we don't signify, you don't know what's flying around that is listening to you. So I need you to sort of like signify with your hands up or wave that you want to design your own house. You want to design your own structure. You have a dream structure you want to design. Who here wants to do that? Can I just have like a wave of hands so that I know that first of all you guys are listening? Number one, number two, yes, I like the thumbs up. I like the clapping. It just shows you that everybody here, regardless of whether you want to remain an architect or not, you want to own projects, and you're going to own projects. Our parents might not be architects, but they own properties. Our our people that we design for, they're not architects, but they own properties. So how much more us as architects? And it starts from the grassroots where you guys are. So I'll just kick off from the presentation and try to just run through a couple of things. So just give me a second. Let me just make it full screen. Okay. So yes, so I call this vertical integration. Why? Basically, I don't know if I'm able to. If the people that are people able to answer questions. I always like such conversations, very interactive. So if people are able to answer questions, just give me a go ahead. If Glory, you can let me know so that if I ask questions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely, sir.
Very good. Okay, so I love to ask, what does anybody think is vertical integration? Just anybody. Anybody. We can just go quickly. There's no wrong or right answer, please. It's just so that it's interactive and we learn from this. It's important that there's an impact. For me, it's a waste of time if we're doing this and there's no impact. So, can I get anybody that can answer the question, please? If you can just unmute your mic and then go ahead. What do you know? What do you know is what can you define as vertical integration? Can you define vertical integration? What do you think it is? Feel free to check some kind of, even if you have a dictionary there, is okay. So there's Shalewa trying to talk. So can Shalewa unmute?
Good evening. My name is Shalewa Olusoya. So what I know vertical integration to be is that is when like a single firm or company that they provide all the services a building would need from the beginning to the end. So they don't just stop at architecture or just providing the class. They do from like the site analysis to even like the project management part or facility management at the end, after you built the structure.
Oh, that's very good. That's very. Can I have any other person try out? Thank you, Shaliwa. David.
Okay. My name is David Jaila. So, vertical integration to me comes from the manufacturing sector. So, in vertical integration, that's when a company they produce like the thing that they need to produce what they want to produce. They produce it themselves. Let's say in terms of Tesla, instead of buying tires from another company, they produce their own. Or so they have full control. Okay, the best example right now is the iPhone. They make their own hardware. They design their own hardware, and they have the whole operating system to themselves. So they have full control of whatever is going on in the Apple ecosystem.
Perfect. Perfect. Is there any other person? I think there's a Royal Ebuka that wants to answer a question. So let's just take one or two more. So you can go ahead, please. Nice one. Nice one.
What do you say a monopoly of a particular field?
Yes. So I heard you a monopoly of what?
Monopoly in a particular field or in a particular trade.
Perfect. Perfect. Is there another person? If I go ahead with the, don't worry, I'm going to have more questions. Okay, so already asked. Yes. Royal?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
I think vertical integration is a business strategy that where all the components and the stages of the business are handled by just one pair. You could say jack of all trades, master of all.
Perfect. I like that. I like that. So you guys are all right. Let me tell you where the direction is coming from. Now, not really from the point of view. Can you guys see my screen? I just flipped it to think for a minute. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So now take for a minute. Just imagine that you had a blank check and somebody gave you. So the difference between you guys right now and where you want to be, imagine you were just a blank. I gave you a blank check. I said you can do any project of your choice. You can supervise any project of your choice. You can supervise your dream project. You have enough money to do whatever you want to do. How exactly are you going to feel? Now, because we are not there, we're at the beck and call of many people. And it's very, very possible for you to be at this level. But once you think at this level, just imagine you don't have any barriers, any obstacles. You just have the freedom to take that step and do whatever it is you so wish to do. Now, with vertical integration, the way I coined it, we don't want to think as an architect and just say we are only designing for others, even though that is in order. But my example is that I currently run 26 projects that we are developing ourselves. And we can boast to say that those are our architectural pieces. And because of that, we have people working to say, who designed this? You can even showcase even better, which makes a lot of sense. So at the end of the day, because of that, we're able to show people that we understand the end to end. Because imagine I am designing for another developer. Let's not even talk about the regular design. I'm designing for another developer, and I tell the person that your cost is not going to cut it. Do you think he's going to believe me over an architect that probably just does it for other people, compared to that person that knows the end to end of everything? Whenever I meet like you and quantities of rails and they give me a cost, I actually can tell them that no, I'm not sure this recorded, you're not getting this right. Why do you think that is happening? Because of the experience, right? So as an architect, you're already trained to be a leader. You're a leader of the team. So how much more? Why are we not leading the finance part of it? Why are we not leading the decision part of it? Why can you? Well, I mean, right now I can decide to do a 10-floor building, and then I want glass all the way through. There's no client telling me no, we don't want it. I can make it sustainable end to end. just because as an architect, I believe that that's what I can do. And nobody can tell me no, right? So, and it is until I show it, because unfortunately, where we live in Africa, people need to be shown stuff before. It's when you now show it. I remember back in the day, there was nothing like one bed lofts in Nigeria. When we started doing one bed lofts, you just have a one bed, double volume space. The room is upstairs. When we tried it, people thought we were crazy. Back then, probably in 2012 or 2012 or 2010. But when we now did it and we saw the young professionals now want it, a lot of people now started doing it, and now it's all over the place. And it's now a thing. So for me, it's important for you. You can actually just even set the pace by being an architect that is well-grounded, and most importantly, vertical integration. Now, vertical integration can come with you trying to partner with people. So just like my friend said, jack of all trade, master of all, you don't necessarily have to be the engineer or you can bring a team together. The same way you are working with a team on a secluded project, is the same way you can build a team together that is your team. As much as possible, as a project owner, this is where vertical integration comes from. Did you hear me when I was talking about the CCCP example?
Not at all.
Okay, so I spoke about a firm called CCCP. It was formerly called Cliff. And as a case study, Cliff was just an architectural firm. And they had worked several years with a set of structural engineers, a set of electrical engineers, a set of mechanical engineers. And they were able to team up together to work as a team. So what happened with that was their client base now increased because the structural guy had his own clients, and he will tell you that if it's going to work for you, you need to work with his architect, right? Or that they work as a team. And all of a sudden, they were stronger, they were better, they were getting bigger projects. Now, that's very different. That's a step towards complete vertical integration, which is where I'm saying own projects. But for firms like that, they were able to take advantage of vertical integration, and as much as possible, they're able to run it all through. But in my own case, I'm thinking of what did I do? We became property developers that design our own buildings and understand it end to end. So I could change the electrical guy, the structural guy, but where it's very important is that we own the project from start. So we can decide what to do, we can get the finance for the project, we can decide on whichever project we want to do. We can decide on wherever we want to do the project, so long as our visibility, all those site analysis, spatial analysis you do in school, is not just, imagine you trying to present it to yourself. It's not, you're able to sort of justify some of those things and take it through and through, you understand, from what you understand. And then you can actually bring out your own products. You understand? Just like a designer that designs shirts and designs shoes and bags, it was in their head that they're trying to bring out because they have the money to also even bring it out. So imagine that guy that designs shoes and bags saying, I want to design shoes and bags for someone else, and he doesn't really bring out his own designs. That's the same way I look at it. So basically, I don't need to talk much about this. I've just spoken about myself and where I started from. I am the group managing director of Homework Group, which is a group of companies that are led by architects. It has an architectural firm called HTC Architects. It also has a property development company called Homework Development and Properties Limited. And it also has a facility management company. Now, the idea behind this is us trying to ensure that from the beginning you design, through the project of development, you're there. When you're selling, you're a better salesman as an architect. Imagine when I have a joint venture and I'm going to be the landowner and I'm the one presenting it as an architect. We're just always the best in that presentation. And then for them to now know that you are the man that is holding the cash, it even makes it better. So that's why I feel that a lot of us should be in that space. Now, moving on from there, when you finish the project, you want to manage the project. Why? Because you want to ensure that the quality of the project stays the way you want it to be, as opposed to someone else coming to mess it up. So basically, this is just why you're listening to me and who I am and all of that. But let's not waste time there. Let's just go straight into, I don't know how much time I have, but this is just me trying to run through some of these things. So as an introduction, as an architect, we have the power to shape the built environment and create spaces that inspire, uplift, and bring people together. However, I believe that we can do more. I believe that by embracing design and development, we can unlock new opportunities, increase our earning potential, and create a more impactful project. Now, for me, I've seen over the years where architects begin to beg for their fees, or it looks like somebody just wants to give you a job. Once the architect has done a job, they throw him away. Yes, if the architect is very good, they would rather pay a contractor more money. I give an example in one of the speaking events that your agent, your typical agent, you as an architect will collect a certain percentage of the project costs. But when the project is done and they're selling the project, an estate surveyor or an agent can get 5% of the sales of the value of the property, like when they're selling it, which is far different from the construction cost. So somebody comes towards the end of your project and makes more money than you. And most of the time they are there either trying to justify your fees and you're working a lot harder. Now, it doesn't happen like that all the time. There are clients that can pay you. But when you have a vertical integrated sort of project, even if you are the architect, so for instance, for me, I have a separate arm that is the architectural firm. And that arm that is the architectural firm actually collects the upper fees, even though you might not be collecting it on day one. I collect it later on when the project is making money, but you collect the actual standard fees that you expect to collect, right? But most time, either they're pricing you down. I mean, this is like I'm giving you foresight on some of the things that are happening in the industry. So you don't want to get into that space and start to beg for fees or try to justify your fees, or you feel, yeah, I mean, that's not what you want. Everybody here, I believe that us as architects can be prosperous. I believe that us as architects, we can do a lot more than what we're doing, and it's important that, we take that charge and do what we need to do. So for the current stage of architecture and development, as an architect, we have the power to shape the built environment and create spaces that inspire, uplift, and bring people together. I think I've said this before. By integrating design and development, we can break down these silos. So we're all working in different, it's like almost like I said, one architect is working, you are doing your design, somebody says, oh, submit me a brief, you do your brief. Sometimes they might not take you on to do the entire project and end your work at that point. And then somebody else comes to supervise. And when they have a problem, that's when they call you, right? So we work in silos, and sometimes they call us. I'm sure you've heard of this many times, where someone designs a building and then what the outcome is not even like the building itself. And it can have different reasons. It can be because of cost. Even if you were there through and through, it might be because of cost. It might be because the client just felt, look, timeline wise, we have to rush it. It can be the contractor. It can be so many things, right? But it's only clients, and there are few of them that really know what they want, that can stick to it and know that, look, I'm paying for this thing for this reason. But you within yourself, you also know that, look, this project I'm doing, I will see it through. So long as you have that capacity to be able to take it from start to finish, right? So for us, instead of working in those silos, the easier way is, we can ensure that our designs are realized as intended, and that we have more control over the project outcomes. So, having control over the project outcomes is for you to sit down and say, look, I know where this money is coming from. I know why I want to do this facade. I know why I want to keep it sustainable. Even if they say reduce cost, I know why I'm doing this, because I want to make an impact. I want to be able to make this design come out this way. When a structural engineer say, oh, no, this cannot work, you can tell them that, look, it is possible. I've been able to do this here. And then you even have more authority, because you are able to churn out, you are able to tell them exactly what you are the one paying the bill. So even they will listen to you. Do you understand? So the benefits of design and development: increased earning potential. So like I said earlier, you have a project, you are able to pay your own fees. You are able to benefit from the profits of the project as well. In America, I think they call it they call it architect. There's one that they call architect owner. There's one they call the developer's architect. Do you understand? There's different names, but there are people actually doing this, right? And it's a thing. And I believe it's going to come up more and more, because if you have 60 or 70 projects, one of the things I told myself was that if I wanted to So just think about it today and say, what's the kind of architect you'll be? You want to have the most high profile clients in Nigeria that could build in the most opulent areas in Nigeria. Well, that client could be you, and it's not impossible, right? And things have changed now. Before, when people used to build head offices for blue chip companies and oil companies and banks, now you're having some startups that are now building their head offices, and they're actually listening and taking briefs from young architects. So basically, another good benefit there is improved project outcomes. So basically, you have a house, you have a dream house that you're trying to build. I'm sure you guys have dreams of, oh, this is my workspace, this is exactly what I want. If anybody has any dream projects here, the person can even just give us an idea of their dream project. Anybody, I would like to use that as an example. Like, do you have any dream project that one day, one way, one somehow you're gonna want to do it? Something very unique. Can somebody just um volunteer to just give us an example of what that dream project is? Anybody? I'll just take the first person that just indicates. Anybody? A dream project that you're thinking about doing in the future? It could be your house, it could be your school, it could be your workspace. I mean, can anybody come in quickly so that we can move on? Yes, thank you so much. Fine. So go ahead, please.
Okay. A skyscraper.
Perfect. Well, how many floors?
Let's say 35.
Perfect. So if I'm moving from yes, I'll ask Akombi now. If I am moving from, I started with 3 floors, I've moved to 5 floors, I've moved to 7 floors, I'm now on 14 floors, and I guess that one someday, as I'm dreaming like you, we're gonna do 35 floors as an architect and an owner, right? So it's possible, very, very possible. I'm just trying to tell you that here that it's possible. Someone else raised his hand. Who is that? Yes, Akombi, help me. Please go ahead.
Yeah, for me, just my personal house, like a beach house on a private island.
Super. So the beach house, you're going to pay for the beach house. You know how the beach house is going to be. Imagine you gave it so. Imagine you are not an architect and you had the dream of how you wanted the space to be, and somebody did it for you and you just did it anyhow. You can imagine what you would do to that dream. But you as an architect can take that project and you can do it and build it yourself. You can be the one to have the money to be able to do it and do for others as well. So that's basically what I mean by that. So improved project outcome, enhanced creativity and innovation. So basically, if you're thinking about anything, a new innovation that comes up, you don't have to get permission from any client to say, oh, I want to use your project as a tester. You can actually go ahead and do it. So that's it. I mean, it's easier said than done, but I'm going to just talk to you guys and move through the blueprint because I am a live example of someone that has done that before. So the next slide, success stories and case study. I told you I was not going to leave you guys alone. I just wanted you guys to see how this has come. Now, I'd like to share a personal story. Several years ago, I decided to take the leap and start my own development company. It was a risk, but it was also an opportunity to take control of my own destiny and create projects that I could truly be proud of. One of our first projects was a sustainable housing development in Lagos. We designed the project from scratch. We were incorporating green building materials, renewable energy systems, and innovative waste management systems. So I had all that stuff that you want to store the rainwater, you want to use the rainwater to wash cars and flush the toilet. Like if I was telling any client all of this, the guy's going to look at me and say, what are you talking about? I just want to build my project. You're making me spend money. But guess what? Those projects today, because of the sustainable element of it, they are self-sustaining. So you're not really wasting money and all of that trying to get water from. You already have storage and all of that. So basically, that's a perfect example. The project was a huge success, and it's not only he has not only won several awards, but he has also, he also provided affordable and sustainable housing for a dozen of families. So basically, I'm just trying to make you understand that this is something that that has been done live. So it's not like maybe we're trying to tell you about some stories from elsewhere. So overcoming the barriers and challenges. So there are barriers and challenges that architects face to be able to do this in the outside world or in the real world. Now, you might be thinking that I don't have the experience, I don't have the expertise to take development roles. I don't have money. Money is always the thing, financial resources and all of that. But I want to tell you that these are just excuses. Um, you can actually start to, you are the only one that can set up proposals from now, right? You might not have the access, but people like us are there to show you the roadmap on how to try as much as possible as architects to actually understand how getting land is, how approvals go, how you can get finance, how you can take your proposals to people. Yeah, so let me tell you about my first project. I didn't have any money. And I took the project to, I just showed them a proposal, all these nice proposals we do in our juries and all of that. I took this proposal to someone and I said, look, I want to do this 4 units on your land. He looked at me and said, well, you're an architect, you're a young guy. You look like you know what you're doing. But I had to have the confidence to tell him that, look, I can, but I just need a sign off before I can go and push to the investors. So he signed off on it and said, yes, I give you 2 months to figure it out. And if you can start within 2 months, we're good to go. So I took this and I went to meet, just had to think to myself, where do we have the people that have money? So I met some staff from Shell. Look, I'm looking for when this is like say like 2012. I'm looking for 45 million. All I need is I just want to be able to start this project. To be honest with you, I wasn't looking to make money from the project. I was just looking to make sure that I'm able to pay my fees, I'm able to pay for the project, and I'm able to just make some money off it for project management. Let the investor take all the money, but I have an example. I have a project that can push as an example. So I now convinced, and he said he was going to drop me. I was very transparent. I said I didn't need to touch the money. All I needed in is to pay for the things that we're going to do directly, and then I'm going to make some sales. I wasn't sure how to sell or what to do, but I just knew that once I had a very good location and I had the right people beside me, I should be able to sell it, and it's being built the way I needed it to be built. Long story short, that was the first project that we did, and the guy was able to get his returns, and he kept his money rolling to the next project, to the next project. And as people bought, they were telling other people about the project. And guess what? Because he was an architect doing it, there was a difference. So basically, it is something that is very possible, even at a young age. And I feel like you guys have to be learning it from now. So it's important that we try to overcome those barriers. Now, basically, the conclusion is just a call to action. In conclusion, I want to leave you with a challenge. I want to challenge you to think differently about your role as an architect. You might have other ideas and other things you want to play around with, yes, but as an architect, you're still that leader. You're still that person that can own projects. You're still that person that can look at projects and say, I want to be part of this. I mean, the architects that work in banks in the property section, they always stand out. The architects that work in property development companies, they always stand out. So basically, it's for you to just look at yourself and say, look, I might be that person designing the best of the best, but let me start to think about how I want to own projects. Right now, there's a lot going on with fractional ownership. There's a lot of crowdfunding sort of methods of raising money to develop projects. So different ideas. I know we cannot jump on everything on this call, but I'm just trying to make everybody get that challenge that, look, in as much as you're an architect designing today, there's a vertical integration going on currently in the outside world, where it is architects that are taking on development. We're about 5 or 6 that started it early enough. We're talking to the Nigerian Institute of Architects and trying to also let them see reasons. They brought us to speak to them several times, and I said, look, even as we're speaking to you guys, some of you guys are already set in your ways. It's only the younger ones we can talk to in the association, and even you guys that are in school or students, to be able to see how you can try as much as possible to start to implement this, try to get the right internship, try to get the right mentorship to be able to allow you see that it is possible. I believe that Nigeria, if we can embrace this as architects, we will have more. We're asking and looking around. I said, oh, can't we have better buildings? Can't we? Imagine if all the architects in Nigeria decided, 80% of the architects in Nigeria decided to do what we're saying. It will be a better environment. It will be a better Nigeria. We are actually going ahead to now do infrastructure projects. We don't want to, if you go into an area and you're building houses there, we're looking at the roads and we're saying, no, we will do this roads, we'll do this, we'll do them and make it the way it's meant to be. If you're doing any skyscraper, we're saying, look, let us make it the way it's supposed to be. Let's design it the way it's supposed to be. We're now taking sustainability into building schools, into building trying to have examples of public toilets that are totally sustainable. So it doesn't even have to be a massive project, but you're not only designing it and taking a proposal around, you're actually getting the money to be able to fund it and see it through. And people believe you better that way. So I want you guys to embrace that. I'm sure I'm going to leave out my emails and stuff if you guys have any questions or if you need some mentorship on this. But I just want to endear everybody to just look into this. I'm going to leave the presentations. There's a lot more to sort of run through, but I know that I won't want to take too much of you guys' time. Let us work together and create a more sustainable, equitable, and beautiful built environment. Let us take control of our own destiny and create projects that we can be truly proud of. So I don't know if you guys have any questions. I can answer any questions. I'm sure there are most times when I do this, there are more questions and things that you bother about, other than just me talking, because for me, it's an experience that I'm just dishing out, but I'm sure you guys, we have things burning inside you. Like I said before, I wish I had people come to talk to me in school then about this. I'll probably have had a better direction and all of that. So please, I'm okay to take questions now, guys.
Good evening. Thank you so
Good
much for um, enlightening us, making us see that there's other opportunities in the field of architecture. It's something that's really open minds to a lot of possibilities. The question I
Yeah.
want to ask is this: is that you didn't just arrive here, right? You were on a journey, right? And
Yeah.
you must have gotten certain experiences in different roles, such as project management, architecture, um, uh, collaborations, and all of that. For someone who is just starting out and in the industry for just let's say under 5 to 10 years experience, how does someone arrive at this? Not necessarily at this point, but to do something even much up greater.
Okay, great. So good question. So for me, I mean, first of all, obviously entering into the industry, you need to understand how things are going. But when you're in those spaces, if you have this at the back of your mind, what it helps you to do is that you're picking the right things when you come here, and you know the kind of offices that will give you that experience. You will know what you're trying to get off projects. I'll give you an example. If you have a client that is funding a development project and you're just going there to do your work, get your fees, explain to them the right thing to do and leave, the guy is funding the project to somewhere. Are you asking those questions? Are you trying to understand really and truly how they are doing it? We are trying to build up an academy where we're bringing people to come and see these things as we do it so that they can even understand how it works, right? So for you, it's important you actually gain that experience. Like, have you actually seen a project from start to finish, implementation? That's very key. You can't just jump into it, obviously. Now, after seeing that happen, have you been able to, once you have done that, gotten that experience, are you able to even understand the financial model of, okay, a QS came, he gave you this, he gave you a cost. Have you compared the cost that the QS gave you to when you now completed the project? Have you looked at projects in different areas? So experience is very important. I worked for a top architectural firm. I moved from there to work for a top real estate company just to understand how the best of both worlds, kind of. So, but don't run away from collaboration, because collaboration also helps. I learned a lot from MEP, mechanical and electrical consultants, because services is a very detailed part of our business. So when you talk to people, service engineers, you actually learn as an architect, because they tell you about HVAC systems, they tell you about so many things. They're like, wow, are you serious? This is how this works. They know more about it, right? So it's important for you to have that experience, understand how to get people in the industry that can work with you. So collaboration is very important because it adds to your experience. Whoever you're collaborating with, you're adding that experience that person has to your experience. And if you work on the project together, you can do a lot more things. So look out for collaborations. Look out for people that can mentor you, that can take you through the ropes even as you're doing whatever it is you're doing. Don't be afraid to. It's always the tough things that are easier to learn a lot more from. So but it's important that experience is key, collaboration is key. Trying to learn other parts of this field that we're talking about, finance, management, so that at the end of the day, because most architects, most architectural firms, they've lost the whole business part of it. And because they don't understand business, sometimes when they're older, the whole thing crumbles. And that's not what most of us really want. You want that posterity, you want things to continue, right? So it's important that with your experience, your eye is laser focused on certain things. You are learning more things in between, and then you make sure you pick on collaboration as much as possible. Yeah. So I don't know if I answered your question, Olaoluwa.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
All right, cool. Any other questions, please? Yes. So Ebuka, please, can you go in? I think I also have Toby as well.
Thank you so much, sir, for the presentation. It was actually enlightening.
Yes.
I want, in a situation where someone has bought into this wonderful idea you pitched, what would be the top 5 skills someone who wants to venture into this, aside from um, going on the firms to Ghana experiences, like 5 personal skills that has made you to thrive in the industry? Thank you, sir.
So basically, you have to understand yourself very well as a person. I would, before I even go into learning about finance, just the general terms on finance, trying to learn about project management, trying to learn about management itself, how to run a company. That's all. But I feel that one important thing that we miss out is our soft skills, the soft skills that we have, and sometimes we just overlook, such as emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is, if you know what emotional intelligence does for me, you can read the room. Emotional intelligence is best for someone that is even presenting, because you're not going to be cocky. You can read the room, you understand what this person wants, you're giving it to him. You listen when it's time to listen, you speak when it's time to speak, you don't overdo things. Those soft skills are things that we always just. So what you guys can do is ask your best friends, what is the thing that you think I'm doing that you feel is hard for other people to do? When you ask yourself that question, you actually start to realize where your talent is, because there's no point you trying to play around where you don't have a talent, right? So if you know you're somebody that is always um, getting upset at things and getting angry, right? If you are teaming up with somebody, it's not the same person that's like you. It's just like a marriage. So you have to think about how you need to, there are times that you need to go and apologize or meet the client in a subtle manner. So you need to understand yourself. But once you understand yourself, you will know what you need as a collaborative or a partner in this, or somebody you're going to collaborate with. And then you also know your strengths. So when it comes to this and this, call Ebuka, he will fire it down. Ebuka is good with presentations. Ebuka is good with, and that's why teamwork is very important, because the teamwork you guys do in school, the real essence of the teamwork is for you guys to identify everybody's strength. And identifying strength is also a talent, because that's what you do when you employ staff. Because when you get some staff and you're putting them under some certain roles, you might just be making them struggle. If you understand their strengths, you put them in the right place. I personally don't believe that anybody's useless. I believe that people have what they're good at, right? So you should be able to identify the strength in others, tell yourself the truth. But emotional intelligence to me is like number one. As much as possible, you need to also learn, apart from you trying to be creative and all of that, you're trying to put other people into consideration. So it's important that those soft skills, very, very important, that you learn patience, you learn, because it's not with funding and projects, it's not a quick game like that. You need to learn how to be calm in the midst of chaos, because most of the things you learn come from a tough situation. So that tough situation, when you go through that tough situation, you understand the lesson behind it. So you need to be able to control your emotions. You need to be able to control your emotions because people rely on you as a leader. When you're somebody that can, you don't have to be someone that, as a leader, you don't have to be someone that is shouting. You just have to be somebody. I give an example in one of the last speaking events I went for. I said, uh, my boss put me on the spot. I was a young boy, somebody like you guys. I come in to work for a firm. The client is a big person in a bank, and then the contractor is a contractor that was already constructing when I was in primary school. He was already constructing, and then you now tell me to leave that person. And I said, I can't leave this man. This man is old enough to be my father. And they put me in a team and said, well, the old guy that was working there had to leave. And the man said, you have to deal with it. And when I used to have meetings, the man would just sit down and just be talking anyhow, like, who's this small boy that is trying to. But by the time I have to go back to my principal to answer and tell him what happened, I had to now leverage the fact that, okay, this guy, he'll be afraid of my principal. He's afraid of the job. He's here because he wants the job. So I now started to reference my principal. One of the days he was just sitting in there and I just stand and I hit the table and I said, look, I'm not going to take this nonsense. Whatever we're saying in this meeting is going to be inside the minutes, and whatever is in the minutes is going to the clients. When the man heard that, he sat up. And from there was control, right? So it's not just about, you have to be very strategic. You need to understand your strengths. You guys should just do yourself that favor. Go to your best friend, go to your parents, go to your siblings, ask them, what are those things that you think I do? I'm sure you guys already figured a couple of it out, but ask them, what are those things that you think I do that you think is hard for other people to do? And let them tell you. By the time you talk to the first 4 or 5 people, I'm sure you'll get it out. Start to write those things down, because the good thing about leadership, architecture, and all is that it always has a relevance somewhere. Whether it's by sitting by the backside and presenting everything, but you're not the one that wants to talk. You leave it to other people to talk and take the shine. You could be that kind of person. You could be the person that everybody does the work, but you are the showman. If you get into the room and you're presenting, they're just going to be like, oh, wow, this person knows what he's saying. And then the teamwork has worked out already. So it's not like you're trying to win anything, yet you're working as a team, as much as possible. But in terms of start solid skills, I feel that what's missing is business, finance, those kind of things that they don't teach us in school. Do you understand? All those, and you don't have to learn it like you are going for an MBA. No, you just need to learn the key. If somebody says ROI, what does it mean? If somebody says you're getting a fund and somebody's asking you that your interest rate for the next 2 years is this, what does it mean? What does it mean for you to get equity? What does it mean to get debt? What does it mean to get an equity finance, debt finance? What does it mean? What's corporate governance? Those kind of words. You just need to know what it is, so that as much as possible, you don't have other people trying to like sort of bamboozle you. So I don't know if Ebuka, I'm sure I must have answered some of your questions. If there's anything that I did not, please, you can highlight it. Yeah. Gideon has a question.
Okay.
So yes, Ebuka, I hope that was okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Gideon, you can unmute and ask a question.
Hi, good evening, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So I just have one quick question. So you did mention mentorship while you were speaking. I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
what do you think are the pathways to get a mentor? I know you can meet mentors, but how do you approach them and all of that? So
Okay,
that's my
so
question, sir.
majorly, you need to first of all, it's not just I need a job. It's not about that. Really, majority of mentors, some don't really, they're really not approachable, right? But most times when you make them understand that you are willing to do some things for free, you are willing to, it's different when you say, please, can I have 5 minutes of your time? I just want to discuss with you. No, if you tell the person that, look, I don't mind coming on Saturdays for 2 hours on your site. I can do certain things for you. I'm able to write, I'm able to do your EA work, I'm able to do just anything. Or can I have because that person is a busy person. So the only reason why the person, for someone like me, I'm passionate about it. So what I try to do is just to put everybody in a room like this and direct them and say, look, guys, we're going to site on so day. If you're willing to come, just feel free and come. That's someone that is open. But most people are not necessarily that open. So if you send an email and say, I'm a young architect, I love what you do. You're an inspiration to me. I like the way you have been able to do this and this and this, but I would like to just work with you once a week to be able to do anything you ask me to do concerning this, where I can learn. So because if they provide you that access, what happens eventually is that and there's nothing like learning on the job. So it's not, it doesn't necessarily have to be a job. It can be that, look, that's your site that you go to on Saturdays. Can I follow you? Oh, sir, is there anything that I can do for you? Because you need to not look at, you can't be salesy, like you just want to come to, you just want the person to give you his time. Most times, those that really have the real thing to give you, they are not that. They are not that. I just came from why I came like some minutes late was I was coming from a business meeting, talking to people like you as well, right? So as much as possible, you just have to learn how to approach, and you cannot approach with an entitlement mentality. You have to approach with who knows this person, and most times you have to be willing to do something for that person. A volunteer service, maybe, oh, if you're having any of our programs, I'll volunteer to be there. Or one of your sites, I volunteer to just come in every week, even if it's just for me to take some inventory for you, or for me to be able to understand how this works. I don't mind coming in. I mean, there are people from secondary school that have come to our office to work just for a day. You understand? Just because they want to understand. Okay, there are people that there's a former landlord of ours that his son came from the States, very young boy, and he said he just wants to understand how construction works in Nigeria. And the father reached out to me and said, go ahead, let him come in for like 2 or 3 days. And the guy enjoyed himself. You understand? So if you're willing to do things like that, they understand that this guy wants to learn something. He's not after, even though he wants to get something from it, he's also not being, he wants to give himself as well. And that at that point, you've gotten some kind of access because they believe that you are serious about what you're doing. Do you get it? Also, don't forget that mentorship, yes, mentorship can also happen from afar. If you study the person very well, by the time you're talking to the person, if you tell him some things about himself, that he will know that you studied him. Trust me, he'll be impressed. You understand? Tell him a couple of things that he has done, and you know he knows you studied him. He's going to be impressed and say, look, this person is a serious person. Let's get talking. Yeah. So do we have any other questions?
Guys, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so I have, I don't know if this is your real name because I can see Global there, but you can tell me your name when you're mute. Kadaka Global. You can go ahead, please.
Coming in, which I apologize. It's been a
Yes.
long day here and the network. So I don't know if actually in your intro, perhaps maybe mentioned this and I didn't get you, but I was just hoping to ask um, what are your regrets, if you have any, on your journey?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a very good question. So, will I really call it regret? Well, I think if I knew a couple of these things earlier on, I probably would have been, I'll probably have started a lot earlier. But most and generally, I'm not really, I mean, I like exactly how things have gone, but I feel they could have gone faster. Yes, and Karaka, can you mute? There's an echo, so mute. Yeah, I think it's better now. Yeah, so for me, I've made a lot of the direction at which I've gone. I can't tell you that there are no errors, right? But I feel that almost every error was like a lesson. But what I think is, if I knew some of these things a lot earlier, it's part of why I'm actually doing this. Because if I knew a lot earlier, I probably would have taken those steps way before now, right? So I think that would be a major one for me. And again, for me, there are many things that have happened in Nigeria. I did a little bit of study abroad. I was advised early enough not to ensure that I stay there, particularly if I want to keep whatever it is I'm doing in Nigeria, right? So again, it doesn't mean that one cannot be an architect in Europe or one cannot be an architect in America. It doesn't mean that, but you can also own projects in such places, right? So for me, it was more of, look, how can I build up in Nigeria? Again, access to some of these finances that I'm getting now, I should have gotten it like way, way before now. And that's where I feel that's it, the main essence why I felt that look, I need to come and talk to young professionals and those that are going to just have that direction. It might be one little thing I say that might make one know the direction to go, but I'm sure everybody kind of like has their own angle to what they're looking for, and whatever I'm saying touches you in one way or the other, right? And then once we start to discuss things on a one-on-one basis, then we can know how to direct such things. But for me, to be honest with you, most of it is I feel that we could have done this a lot earlier, and a lot more architects could have been could have joined the bandwagon early enough. Yeah. So I have I think Adekombi went first, and then after that we take someone.
So thank you, sir.
All right, Kadaga. So I'll be waiting to hear from you. I also put my an email address you can email. You're gonna see it now on the chat.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, Adekombi, I'll meet you.
Yeah, you're talking about finance stuff. So like, are there some proposal you can work with say maybe a bank to get money for starting a project? Like
Oh,
you were saying
absolutely.
something about
Yes, I'm with you. Yes, so absolutely, yes. There. So before now, you would, if you're not advised right, you might. It's not even just banks. You know, you actually have investors that, if you have something that really does make sense, you have investors that can put their money in. You just have to be in the right space, speaking to the right people. In terms of the banks, yes, but you know the banks always work with collaterals. That's where the issue is. But nowadays, there are other thought. There are also people that can back you up with collaterals if you have a solid project. So you just have to understand now there are ways we're starting like a finance arm where we're trying to crowdfund for real estate. So you have people that are coming in as low as 1,500,000, but there are many of them coming together. So basically, there are also those platforms that if you poach your projects to, and it does make sense, they're going to drop money for you. So there are many of these things, but people don't have access to it. That's the challenge. So currently, I'm doing what they call a capital raise in the capital market. The capital market is a lot cheaper to raise money than the bank. But it's actually people looking at your business, looking at what you do, looking at where you have been, and they're all willing to drop money and leave it for you for a year, right? And it's a lot cheaper than the bank rates. So there's a lot of access, which is why you hear me say you need to understand finance, you need to understand what's going on, because they're the ones really like calling the shots. They know where you can get these things from. And that was what I was trying to tell Kadaka earlier, that if I knew some of these access points earlier, we're always the last to know. We're always going there with our presentation, making a big pitch and trying to get the person to pay us. And the guy is just looking at you because he has the money. He's just looking for which architect to choose that will help him do the work. And he's not really thinking about the architects. He's thinking about the end product eventually, that when I finish this project, I want to make X amount of money. When I sell it, I want, okay, they say this architect is good. Let me use this architect so that I can get, he's not really, his mind is on something else, but he knows where to get the money from. So yes, there are access points. You can also do me an email if you wanted me to just shoot you a list of some of these things. There are also some resources, guys. There's some resources I'll share with the team. There's some resources you can go into, read some ebooks that I have that can really help you sort of like align. If you're interested, just email the email on the chat group. We'll send you the link so you guys can just run through it. It's not I've tried to make sure that even if you're so, it's very, very well discounted because they're students or they're young professionals. So at least it's very, you will find the resource very, very good. And if I have a direction like you that just asked the question, I can even give you a tailor-fitted okay, you want the email address again, or you didn't see it? Just a second. Right here, Jide Adekola Institute at gmail.com. Jide Adekola Institute. Yes. Glory, thanks, Glory. Yeah, so that's it. That's the email. Yeah, so I think Samuel, after Samuel, go Ebuka. Samuel, you can go.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Samuel.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity because knowing the skill of the person you are, I was at your book launch last year and getting to talk to you now again is quite a privilege. So I was hearing, so I came in late actually, and I was hearing something about a program you do like for young professionals. I didn't hear a lot about it, so I don't know if you could talk about it very well again.
Okay, so we have workshops. We have workshops we do for young professionals, to just come in and sort of like learn, go to some of the sites. It's almost like a boot camp type thing. We have that. We have some of those that come up every quarter. We also have some of the um, online, something like this that happens often. So, and I bring some of my friends, some of the guys in the industry so that they can talk to you guys as well. So if you really need some of those information, just make sure that you shoot the email. I'm sure they would my guys would get back to you immediately so that you can at least understand what is going on part time in terms of the mentorship. It's almost like a mentorship program, but by the time you go around, you start to see the projects, you come as a team, we're doing it. It comes every quarter. So I'm sure you'll be able to pick up on that definitely. But there are definitely some programs that are already organized, free program, many of them are free. The resources are not so expensive. 10, 50. These are things that go for like 100,000, 200,000 for like real estate. I know how many people that have become developers just sitting there and speaking to us, but we're making it to you guys 20K, 50, just to make sure that it's something you can. Because again, if you don't really like pay for something, you don't value it. Or you have some ebooks that can give you blueprints, direction, just to make you think a certain way. But the actual workshop is free. It's just to just give back basically, and then allow you. There's even the part where if you actually want to become a developer, we can handhold you into some kind of internship programs where if you go through it, you are part of that development and you can actually see through the entire process. You understand? And once you have done that, you can get that support to do on your own or even have some support to push it through. By the time you push out one or two of your projects, you now become solid and you can move on your own. That's the idea. I've done this for people that are not architects, so it's paining me that architects have not come on board. Do you understand? Not that they not come on board, but I prefer architects to come on board. Do you get it?
Mm. Yeah, all right. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah.
No problem at all.
And keep doing the good job, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. God bless. Ebuka.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Thank
Good
you
evening.
very much.
How are you?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I'm doing great. So yeah, my question is moving away from this. I just wanted to ask, like, what's the like, given the current economic landscape in the country, like with the inflation rate and also the all the scarcity, like how is it shaping the real estate market? And then currently, what's the cost of capital in the real estate in Nigeria?
That's a
Thank
very
you.
good question, Ebuka. So, like I told you, I was telling Rebecca earlier on that there are different experiences we meet. It looks like there's a big problem, but you learn from it. I don't think the last inflation that happened has ever happened before. It was a big hit. But you see, the problem with such things is that with every issue, there's always an opportunity. So let me give you an example. When these issues came on board, we wanted to go crazy. I was going to lose at least 1.8 billion if I did not have conversations with people and try to tell them that, look, the prices have changed. Yeah. But guess what? The same way you're complaining is the same way somebody abroad has dollars and the person was not able to buy certain areas, but because now his money seems plenty in naira, he's able to come to a more opulent area. And then as we saw that problem, we also started seeing that solution. People started coming closer. They wanted to buy bigger properties. Do you understand? So it was a big issue, to be honest with you. We had to take a halt. But by learning through it, there are many things that one has done. When you write your offer letters and you see someone wants to buy a house from you or buy a commercial space from you, you write it there as one of the issues. That's why you are learning legal terms now. So you write what is called a force majeure. So when you have a force majeure, you're trying to tell them that in case there's like a disaster or there's an earthquake, so this agreement might not stick to it. But now most developers have added forex fluctuation and inflation to their force majeure. So if something happens, that is beyond a certain percentage, sorry, we have to revise our prices. Because guess what? You that you were doing the houses and all, you were not, you didn't, it takes you time before you can reflect it. But the guy that is selling reinforcement and the guy that is selling sand, it is the next day he will call you and say, sorry, your 2 million cannot buy this thing again. It's now 2.5 million, and it will not supply you. So you now need to be very careful. So that's what I learned from inflation, by the way. But now the economic climate is a bit stable. So people have been, and the thing about property in Nigeria is that people would always be able to afford. See the example I gave you about the guys from abroad. Most of my customers are 70% diasporans. So it's not easy, but you have to hedge against it. So most of what I do is that I get funds and I buy all my materials that have to do with that are connected to the forex, to dollar, and I try to buy it up front so that like, the lifts, the tiles, I try to just peg it up front, right? But then again, in your agreement, you also hedge against inflation. Now, in terms of the economic, in terms of capital, you have different people giving you money. You have the loan sharks, which is crazy, can be like 10% a month or 7% a month. Is a no-go area. If you're going to do that, maybe you just want to quickly close out something very fast, but I would not suggest it. The banks are probably doing around 36% now, 36 to 38%. But like I said, the capital market we are going into is doing 26%. And gradually, as you climb the ladder and you're doing the right thing, you can have access to very low double digits, 15, 14%, or even single digits. Single digits normally come from outside the country, but you have to really be doing something really, really massive for you to be able to get that kind of investment. Do you understand? So, it's already time to start thinking global. You can see what's happening with AI and the Internet of Things. And funds, they're already looking at sustainability and funding projects to the likes of IFC and World Bank. If you can prove to them that you're thinking of sustainable, you can prove that your project is sustainable. You can prove that your project can have an EDGE certificate. You might be able to get foreign finance. So you can see that there are opportunities. It's just like I said, if you don't know where to go to, you just keep running around the circles. And those guys that are giving you money, those expensive monies, they're happy that you're there. They don't want you to know anything about think about it. Who is the first person that can think about a sustainable project? Is the architect. Even if the guy that wants a sustainable project belongs, he will first come and meet an architect to say, come on, I have an opportunity. They're giving us money from IFC or African Development Bank. They say I have to design this sustainable. What can you do? The man can't design it himself. It's you, the architects, that will design it. And you're the one that will follow him to go and present it. Right? So again, there are opportunities, and these are the kind of things that we're going to be talking about in such a session. Yeah. You could answer your question.
Yes. So I wanted to chip in, add an additional question as you mentioned IFC. So I wanted to ask, have you been able to leverage infra credit, which is a part venture of World Bank, in Nigeria? Have you been able to access them for loan?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned it. So we're trying to get some funds off Shelter Africa. And Shelter Africa is saying that for you to get their funds, you must go through infra credit. So either infra credit or FCMB. Or infra credit currently, we're in talks with infra credit. And obviously, again, like I told you, you need to prove that the project is sort of sustainable. So yes, there is. I mean, you have to know who to talk to, the right person to talk to. We've been with them for a year trying to push a project. But also my project cannot sit down and be waiting. So there's one I was waiting for, and I couldn't wait for their process. So I've already gotten funding. But we are still chasing at them because you also look like a serious person when they see that the project they were going to fund you, you've already funded it. And you have already moved ahead. So it looks like it's their own loss. Do you understand? And then they will now stop dragging the process. But it's actually a very long process. But the truth is that once you get it, you are going nowhere after that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, any other questions? So Glory, I think if we have any questions, cool. If we don't, I think you have the floor. If there's anything you want me to attend to. Hawa, I don't know if I got the name right, but Hawa Waya Adam, please go ahead.
Yes, you got the name right. Good evening, and thank you very much for this session. Even though I joined late, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
sorry about that.
Okay.
I am very delighted to be here because I have a lot of questions.
Oh, good.
I'm not sure I'll be able to ask them now, but I have drafted down the email address and the phone number.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yes, I will reach out to you.
Just make sure you put your name. I will spot it that you were here. Anybody reference this program will be good because I will give it some priority because the emails are always packed full. And I think Glory can also help us send it to the larger house just in case there's any need for anybody. We'll send something that if anybody needs to reach out, you can easily come in and I'll send it through Glory. But the whole idea is to ensure that we empower you guys and you guys are actually the future. So you need to hold it, and any information you need, any help you need, just know that we are here.
Thank you very much.
All right, God bless. Okay, so Gloria, I think I'm not sure there's any other questions, so I think you have the okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So you really just step back there.
Oh, great.
We
No
really
problem.
appreciate your fresh perspective towards architecture. And I was hearing the whole capital venture finance and something that is not really common in the architectural space, but something we really need to be exposed to.
Yeah,
And
we're trying to bring it into the curriculum, even if just subtle, in a very subtle manner. It doesn't even have to be a full course where they're trying to mark you right or wrong. We just want to bring it in simply, so at least you get to understand those things.
Yeah, and it's really nice having you, USA, and it's a pleasure for us. And thank you everybody for joining the conversation. I hope to see you next time.
Yeah.
Have a great evening.
Thank you so much, everybody. So I will send in some of the materials so that you can share with the larger group if anybody needs any further information and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. God bless. Thank
Have
you,
a nice
guys.
evening.
Yeah, good use. Bye.